Travels by Broomstick comes to you from South Wales, the land of the dragon. Oh, and sheep. We got lots of sheep. Welcome to all you good people out there in podcast land. So, let's get the broomstick out the garage, and off we go.
The richest man in the world who had a wild fascination with the occult, holding many seances and believing in the power of crystals and the existence of ghosts. Join us as we explore the magic, mystery and murders of a fairy tale castle.
Today's journey takes us to Castle Coch, or the Red Castle, named for its red sandstone walls, a 19th century Gothic revival castle built above the village of Llangwynlais, standing at the entrance to the Taff Gorge in South Wales, UK.
Castle Coch rises up from the beautiful ancient beechwoods of Forest Fawr like a vision from a magical fairy tale, with its great towers, turrets, conical roofs and drawbridge. But this grand exterior pales in comparison to the beauty of the rooms hidden within. An absolutely stunning interior, a highly decorated and dazzling masterpiece of the high Victorian era.
The original castle on the site is thought to have been constructed in the late 11th century. It was built by the Normans after 1081, a fortress to defend Cardiff and to control the land around the River Taff, and was abandoned shortly afterwards. English nobleman Gilbert de Clare, also known as the Red Earl, built a new castle on the Mott between 1267 and 1277 to protect and control his newly acquired Welsh lands. This castle was most probably destroyed during the Welsh Rebellion of 1314, and only the ruins were left standing.
Born on the Isle of Bute in 1847, the son of John Stuart, the second Marquess of Bute, John Patrick Crichton Stuart succeeded to the title of 3rd Marquess of Bute at the age of 6 months old. He owned large estates in Wales and Scotland, and although initially inheriting his father's debt that was created during the investment in the development of Cardiff docks, the demand for Welsh steam coal rocketed with the onset of the Industrial Revolution. All the steam coal was shipped through Cardiff docks, and the turnover from this enterprise made him the richest man in the world. During a visit to Cardiff in 1865, the young Lord Bute met William Burgess, an eccentric architect. Both men shared an obsession with the medieval world and an idealised Victorian vision of fairy tale ruins, romance and decorative art. Bute was serious and reclusive. Burgess was dashing and sociable. They brought out the best in each other, and within a year of their first meeting, Bute employed Burgess to renovate Cardiff Castle. He transformed it into a lavish Gothic revival-style castle that became Bute's home. Adapted for more modern living with both plumbing and central heating. He lived here with his wife Gwendolyn Fitzallen Howard, who he married in 1872.
3 years later, Bute and Burgess turned their attention to Castle Coch. Given free rein by Bute, Burgess did not hold back. He created a magnificent medieval fantasy built around the ruins of the two great towers and lofty hall that had once been Gilbert de Clare's 13th century formidable fortress. Castle Coch was to be a country residence for occasional occupation in the summer. Burgess rebuilt the outside of the castle between 1875 and 1879. He then started on the interior of the castle. When Burgess died suddenly in 1881, only the banqueting hall had been fully decorated and furnished. The work was then completed by the team that Burgess had put together, and this was finished in 1891. Lord Bute was devastated, broken-hearted that he had lost his friend, a friend who had shared his ideals and had such a close bond.
All of the decoration in the castle has deep meaning to it. Not a flower, animal or motif is here by chance. The castle celebrates the love story between Lord Bute and his beloved wife Gwendolyn. It shows the love he had for his family, ancestry, his love of wildlife, nature, his passion for history, art and the mystical world. The Victorian symbolism throughout the castle shows the affection that Bute had for Gwendolyn. You can read the decorated rooms just like love letters. The Butes were truly devoted to each other. He used the fairy tale castle as a way to proclaim his love, devotion and faithfulness to her. The drawing room, with its octagonal shape and vaulted ceilings, is decorated depicting the intertwined themes of the fruitfulness of nature and the fragility of life. The fireplace by Thomas Nicholls features the three fates: Clotho the spinner, Lachesis the allotter, and Atropos the inevitable, a metaphor for death depicted spinning, measuring, and cutting the thread of life. Inside the fireplace are tiles which have images of the green man and horoscopes such as Libra, Capricorn, Scorpio, Pisces, and Aquarius. Butterflies are carved into the ceilings, doorways, and painted all over the room, with over 80 different butterfly species being depicted. There are 58 panels around the room. Each one is of a unique plant, and all the plants have different meanings. Sunflowers, for example, mean adoration, hollyhocks for fruitfulness and fertility, and geraniums for home comfort. The beautiful mural around the room shows animals from 24 of Aesop's fables. Lady Bute's bedroom has an ornate double-domed ceiling that rises up into the tower's conical roof. The room is richly decorated with symbols of love, its theme displaying nesting birds, pomegranates, grapevines, and monkeys. Lord Bute thought that the monkeys, however, were far too rude and inappropriate for his wife's bedroom, as they represent sex and prostitution. Above the fireplace is a winged statue of Psyche, the Greek goddess of the soul, carrying a heart-shaped shield displaying the Bute family's coat of arms. Psyche is the personification of spiritual love and romance, as every man who met her fell instantly in love with her. Lady Bute's scarlet and gold bed is the most notable piece of furniture in the room. It sits in the center of the room and is decorated with crystal balls. It may look like something from the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and it certainly is very magical. The crystal balls reflect Lord Bute's interest in mysticism. He was a member of the Society for Cyclical Research, becoming vice chairman, and was completely captivated by the power of crystals. He even commissioned his own crystal visioning machine. He had a strong fascination for the occult and studied mysticism, astrology, theology, and religion. He even experimented with telepathy and would often hold seances in Cardiff Castle. He had a whole room dedicated to it, the Summer Smoking Room, which is situated in Cardiff Castle's clock tower.
Lord and Lady Bute had 4 children together. These were Lord Colum Edmund Crichton Stewart, Lord Ninian Edward Crichton Stewart, John Crichton Stewart, the 4th Marquis of Bute, and Lady Margaret Crichton Stewart. You can see Lady Margaret's bedroom in Castle Coch, complete with wonderful white furnishings, window box seating, and windows that let in the sunshine. In comparison with other rooms within the castle, Lord Bute's bedroom is relatively small and simple, but still has a carved fireplace that is covered in nature features and green man stenciling on the walls.
The banqueting hall was entirely Burge's creation. It is 20 by 30 foot across with a 35-foot ceiling. It features stenciling and murals which resemble medieval manuscripts. The murals were designed by Horatio Lonsdale and has St. Lucius against a cross-like background, foreshadowing his martyrdom. In the next scene, he has just been taken down from the gallows. The mural on the opposite wall shows his sister, St. Emerita, praying while being burned at the stake. The sculptural embellishment on the fireplace is also the figure of St. Lucius by Thomas Nicholls. St. Lucius was the legendary first Christian king of Britain, said to have been the founder of the Diocese of Llandaff. When we visited Castle Coch, the banqueting hall table was set for a ghoulish banquet. The table was complete with spooky spiderwebs and even fuzzy little rats.
Lord Bute died in 1900 at the age of 53. His wife Gwendolen lived on at Castle Coch with Margaret for a short period of time during her mourning period. Gwendolen didn't remarry and died in 1932 at the age of 77. Their son John, the 4th Marquis of Bute, inherited the castle in 1932, but he made very little use of it. And in 1950, the 5th Marquis of Bute put the castle into the care of the state. It is now owned by Cadw.
Lord Bute was a big fan of ghost stories, and Castle Coch has a few terrifying tales to tell. The first is the legend of the lost treasure. A medieval Welsh hero, the great Ifobach, ruled from Castle Coch. During his reign, he managed to accumulate a great amount of wealth. He was worried that upon his death, he would lose all of his riches. So he bewitched 2 of his strongest men and turned them into great eagles. His body and all his treasure was buried somewhere beneath Castle Coch. The eagles would stand guard over him and his hoard of gold. Centuries later, the local people learned of the treasure, and two men decided to venture into the forest and sneak up to the castle to find the secret tunnel that led to the buried treasure. But as soon as they approached the castle, two huge eagles emerged. The two men were beaten back by the fierce eagles, and they fled. The men decided to try again, and this time they were going in armed. They brought their pistols with them, and as soon as the eagles emerged, they shot at them. But the bullets had no effect on the enchanted eagles, and they chased the men back into the forest and away from the castle grounds. The men plotted together. They decided to go back to the castle, but this time they would bring with them blessed silver bullets, and brought a minister who performed an exorcism. But this just seemed to have enraged the eagles, and they flew at the men with such anger and tenacity that they were lucky to escape with their lives. The men were terrified and vowed never to return, and the treasure is still hidden, lost to time, guarded by the mysterious magical eagles.
Before William Burgess rebuilt Castle Coch, the grounds were just left in ruins. The ruins were said to be haunted by a ghostly white lady. The White Lady is often seen walking amid its sombre vestiges, a tragic figure who is eternally searching for her missing son. Her son is said to have fallen into a bottomless pool filled with dark water within the old castle grounds. His grief-stricken mother never recovered from the tragedy and died of a broken heart. It is said that Lady Bute was driven away by this mournful spirit after Lord Bute's death.
The halls of Castle Coch echo with the sound of spectral footsteps. In the banqueting hall, you can feel a very dark presence lurking in the darkness at night. Some people have even felt icy cold hands around their necks, and some say that they've been pushed to the floor by unseen hands. Could this be the ghost of the murderous man? Born on the 5th of January 1652, called the infamous Earl of Pembroke, Philip Herbert was an English nobleman. As a little boy, Philip was prone to fits of rage and temper tantrums. He was considered to have inherited his mental instability from his grandfather, the 4th Earl of Pembroke. Prone to violent and unprovoked assaults, he was by far much more violent than his grandfather. He grew up and was known to have violent outbursts and attacks on his peers, especially after drinking. In 1674, Philip Herbert married a young girl called Henrietta, the sister of Charles II's mistress, and by this marriage the two had a daughter named Charlotte, who would go on to marry Thomas Windsor, 1st Viscount Windsor, ancestor to the Marquis of Bute. At Wilton House, Philip's residency, Philip owned 52 mastiff dogs, 30 greyhounds, some bears, and even a lion. Philip was known to have committed at least 2 murders. His first murder, he was not imprisoned due to his successful plea of privilege of peerage, the right for any person with a title to evade punishment for their first offence. Upon the second murder, Philip fled the country, and due to a petition to the king signed by 24 of his peers, he was given a royal pardon and was able to return into the country. Philip was guilty of several assaults which might well have ended in death, and in 1677 he nearly killed a gentleman in a duel. Philip died on the 23rd of January 1683 at the age of 65. Could it be his spirit that still wanders the halls of Castle Coch, tormenting the visitors? Could these spirits have been summoned by one of Lord Bute's seances? And are you brave enough to visit Castle Coch? So now there's only one more question left to ask, and that is, how many brooms do you rate Castle Coch?
Well, I'm going to rate Castle Coch 4.5 brooms, because the castle is really good. It's a nice day out, and the grounds around the castle are spectacular for a walk with the dogs or whatever.
What was your favourite room in Castle Coch?
Well, I'm going to have to say the drawing room. The decoration was really, really out this world. And talking about this world, we did actually see a little ghost popping his head over the balcony.
He was very spooky.
Very ghostly spooky.
And wearing a white sheet.
Why would you not? Well, this concludes our visit to Castle Coch. We hope you've had a magical time.